An unexpected positive turn in new home sales. They were up for a second straight month. But more important, housing data will be released later this week, and the forecast is not good. CNBC's Diana Olick is in Washington, D.C. with the details on that. Hi, Diana.
Hi, Sue, and you're right. There's no question that this was a good report for the home builders. But again, we still have a very long way to go. New home sales rose just over 7% month to month. They're still down over 23% year over year. But remember that last April was the final month of the home buyer tax credit. You had to have your contract signed by April 30th. And this new home sales number is based on contracts signed. Now, the quicker sales pace and fewer homes on the market pushed the month's supply down to 6.5, the lowest in a year. Also a good thing. Median price of a new home up just over 4%. But remember, again, this is a year-over-year figure, and last April prices were lower than usual thanks to the tax credit. Now, before you go run off and buy the home builders, I want you to take a look at something very interesting, a little scary. It is a chart of inventories. This is what the home builders are up against. Huge inventories of bank-owned, or what we call REO properties. This is Fannie, Freddie, FHA, and private label. It doesn't even include what the banks have, which we don't know exactly. Some call this the shadow inventory, but these properties are going to come up for sale at rock bottom prices. Many of them are relatively new construction, and that competes directly with what the builders have out there listed now. Some of it is concentrated, of course, in some of the hardest hit states, and you do have investors out there trying to eat it all up. But if you add this inventory to the 90-plus days delinquent loans, many of which are going to go into foreclosure, you have like a 4-year supply of just REO homes to sell. And as you said, Sue, we're going to be looking later this week on Friday at the pending home sales number. That is for existing homes. And we're not looking for anything very big. That could be a problem. Sue.
All right, Diana, stay with us and let's talk more about whether or not housing is still in crisis or if there are signs of a turnaround. Michael Manation, president of Sanborn Mortgage Corporation, joins us, as does Shari Olefson, attorney with Fowler White Boggs, as well as the author of Foreclosure Nation. Welcome to all of you. Michael, I'm going to start with you. Diana, I think, set the stage for us, but we are in the all-important spring buying season. Is there hope for housing this season, or given what she just laid out, is the overhang still too great?
I don't think there's a lot of hope for housing. I hate to say that. I mean, I think those numbers today, first of all, those are contracts. They haven't closed. See how many of those will close. Second of all, a dying patient in a hospital bed has a pulse. Doesn't mean he's going to live. Mm-hmm. We're in a crisis, and until we address that, haven't seen the bottom of housing. And basically, American public today, they don't look at housing as a good investment. That's why they're not buying.
Okay. Shari, is that the case? Do you agree with that? Or do you perhaps have a little bit more hope as we see interest rates remain low and the number of new jobs created creeping a little bit higher?
Well, absolutely, Sue. I mean, the problem, Diana hit the nail on the head. The problem is foreclosure inventory, REO inventory, and we're looking at a huge timeline to get that product moving through the system. And the problem is, right now, it's virtually frozen because of the robo-signer scandal and all of the issues in Washington. So nothing is happening to move that through now. But the new home numbers are different because the builders can control some things that we can't control with existing homes. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to start doing very well, and their stock will do well in addition to that, because they can control what they're building. So they are tailoring that product now to meet the demand. They're not building McMansions anymore. They're building more stuff for retiring baby boomers. They can control the mortgage approval process, which is one reason existing homes are
they are just
through.
As deeply aware of those numbers that Diana has pointed out as everybody within their business. So they know the glut of supply that they're dealing with. Michael, you sound so dire. What does that mean in terms of the two metrics that everybody talks about? Pace of sales and also the price of homes. A lot of people are wondering if they're finally, has the price of their home at least bottomed at this point? No.
I don't think so.
How much more down?
I don't know how much more down, but I can tell you to look at inventory is just one piece of it. People watch your show. They watch TV. They read the paper. They know there's talk of eliminating the tax credit, for the mortgage deduction. There's talk about eliminating Fannie and Freddie. There's talk about eliminating 30-year loans to go into shorter terms. There's a talk about the deficit that keeps increasing, and that's going to raise rates. All of these things are going to put downward pressure on home prices. So if you're buying a stock as an investor, you'll say, well, the stock is cheap historically, but will this company have returns? I don't think so. That's what the American public is saying about housing. And until we make it an environment where people want to invest, where they said, oh, I can get a return on this, I will do it.
Okay.
Diana, there are still desirable neighborhoods. There are still desirable properties within those neighborhoods. And so what we often find is that the real estate market is highly localized. McLean, Virginia may be doing all right when Alexandria is not. So we have a tale of two markets here, don't we? In some ways?
But I think we have a tale of a lot of different markets, but something I want to say about the home builders specifically is you have to look at the trends of where people want to buy homes now, especially because of gas prices, is they want to be closer to the cities. Now, a lot of that home building that we saw during the boom went on out in the exurbs, and that's where we see all these foreclosures. The home builders, one analyst this morning wrote that the home builders are actually going to have to shoot themselves in the foot, that's a quote, in order to survive this market, because they have to keep their home building so low, their housing starts so low in order to keep that inventory low and put a bottom on the prices that they have. So when you say, is it national, they've got a problem wherever you're going because people want to live closer to the cities. They don't want to live out in these developments. I want to get one little quick yes or no to Michael and Shari. A lot of people in this country over the years, my parents' generation, the generation of people who bought in the 90s, they are able to retire on the house. Are we ever going to see an America where people are going to be able to retire on the value of their homes? Michael, yes or no? Shari, the same for you.
Not for a long time. So,
Shari?
No, it depending on where you live and what type of property you were living in, but it will be a long time. And a lot of what the next generation can expect is going to be reflected in what comes from Washington in the next 5 years.
I take that as a don't count on it, baby.
No.
Okay, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Straight ahead.